Hey everyone! Today's episode is a little different because it was recorded live on stage at NRF APAC 2025 in Singapore, where I had the honor of moderating a panel discussion about a topic that is so important. Our episode last week was all about emotions and creating a culture of empathy. And this week, we'll talk about how happy employees create better customer experiences, which was the session title. I was joined by two incredible leaders who are truly walking the talk when it comes to employee engagement. You'll hear from Panchalee Weeratammawat, the Chief People Officer of Central Retail Group in Thailand. She leads the people strategy for over 60,000 employees across Thailand, Vietnam, and Italy. And also from Mia Anderson, the General Manager of Retail and Channels at 2degrees in New Zealand, which is a telco company, and that adds a lot of complexity to the operations. And yet, she helped take the company's employee NPS from -19 to +72. A huge cultural turnaround. This is a super candid conversation about how to build a people-first culture in retail, how to get leadership buy-in, and why employee experience is at the core of business performance. Here's Paula Macaggi, and this is episode 80 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We will talk about a very interesting topic. I think everybody agrees that a good customer experience starts with the employees, but not everybody can implement that easily, but they do. I first want to introduce myself. I'm Paula Macaggi. I am the founder and host of OFFBounds. It's a podcast that I interview senior executives like these two. And every Tuesday you have a new episode, and this panel will be one of our episodes. So you're participating in one of OFFBounds episodes. I first want to introduce my guests. I have here near me Mia Anderson. She's the GM of Retail and Channels for 2degrees. She flew from New Zealand. 2degrees is a telco company with 1,600 employees, and she managed to bring the employee NPS from -19 to +72, which is super impressive. And I have Panchalee also, who is the Chief People Officer of Central Retail Group, which is a lot larger in scale, right? Like we're talking about 60,000 employees that she oversees, and she realized that by making employees happy, she had to make employees happy. She has to start with the HR being happy. I want to first hand over them to explain a bit about the challenges and the rewards that you have in your role. Panchalee, why don't you begin?
First of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for having me. I think maybe before I jump into the details, I would rather start by giving you guys a context of who Central Retail is. Central Retail, as Paula's mentioned, I think we are the largest retailer in Thailand and probably one of the largest in Southeast Asia as well. And we operate with multiple business units. We have department stores, we have supermarket, we have electronics, we have a sports brand, we have a number of things. And we do have business in different segments. We do have fashion, food, brands, different segments. I will show you in a minute our business landscape so that you can see. In terms of people, as Paula's mentioned, I am currently Central Retail has about 60,000 employees in Thailand. We operate in 3 countries, Vietnam and Italy as well. In Vietnam, we have another 15,000 employees, a few thousand in Italy. And primarily, this is the sort of landscape in terms of people and complexity of the organization. So just, in order to make sure that everybody understands who we are, if you don't mind, I have just 1 minute video that I want to pull up so that you can see who we are as Central Retail.
At Central Retail, growth is our purpose and our promise. We expand our reach, creating prosperity in every community we serve. As a leader in both retail and wholesale, we deliver seamless, end-to-end solutions that meet every need. Together, we move forward elevating lives as we go, and driving sustainable progress on every front. We believe in the power of human diversity, and we're committed to making Central Retail a truly great place to work. Integrity and transparency are at the core of everything we do, and we value every partnership that helps us achieve shared success. That's why we've been recognized both nationally and around the world. Because we are Central Retail, at the heart of life and at the forefront of sustainable growth. Central Retail, central to life.
So I hope everybody now know who we are and understand what kind of landscape that we have in the retail business in Thailand.
So hi everyone, I hope you're all enjoying day one of NRF 25. So I come from a much smaller company than Panchalee. So we have 1,600 employees. We are a challenger brand. So we were the third telco to enter the market in New Zealand. And thankfully, we've been a very successful challenger brand. We've 1,600 employees based across 2 islands, north and south, with about 3,500 kilometres from the top to the bottom. So from a logistical point of view, it can be quite challenging. But the good thing for me is that we do ensure that we have great communications across the retail stores from the north to the south, and we make sure on a quarterly basis that we're getting all of the team together so that we can gain some really good insights and good feedback regularly from the teams.
And what is interesting about telco is that you're not necessarily just selling a product, right?
No, yeah. So probably 60% plus of all interactions at store are service related. We are a very heavily regulated industry. We've got a lot of fraud. So there's a lot happens within the retail environment. It's not just selling a product.
Absolutely. And we are here because we all believe that the customer experience begins with the employee experience, the happy employee experience. You went from employee disengagement to a super high engaged employees. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this journey?
Yeah, so we launched our ENPS platform, which is a monthly survey that goes out to all employees on a monthly basis to ask them. And the NPS question is, how likely are you to recommend 2 degrees? When we launched this platform 2.5, 3 years ago, we had a score of -19. Some of the feedback that we got was quite extreme. You know, people didn't feel safe at work coming out of COVID. Retail is a much different environment than it used to be. So we embarked on a journey, taking a couple of things into consideration. Biggest one was health and safety. We did a full audit of the stores and we looked at how we could ensure that our employees felt safe at work. So we implemented duress alarms. We have steel back doors into the office that can be used as safe rooms, and we've done de-escalation training. And for me, that's the most important. It's if you've got a customer that's anxious for any reason, which when we know our mobile phone doesn't work, people do get anxious quite quickly. So the first thing you need to do is de-escalate the situation. So that was one of the most successful tools that we have to make sure we do. As well as all the health and safety steps that we put in place, we also did a full retail transformation of our IT systems within store. And if anyone knows, to sign up to a new mobile plan, to get a phone interest-free, it takes quite a long time to do, and it could have taken anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour probably 6 months ago. Now if we do that same transaction within store, a customer can leave within 10 to 15 minutes. So that is a fantastic employee and customer experience, and the customer leaves happy. And then I suppose the third area for us is communications. It's really key that we communicate regularly and often. what we're doing, what we're getting from the surveys. So we get them monthly, and we have a plan that we communicate from the board down to the stores. And then it's making sure when you make the important changes that are required, whether it be health and safety or systems change, then you're communicating what the changes are, why you've made the changes, why it's important from a customer perspective as well as an employee perspective. And you're also reinforcing every time, this is what we heard in the survey, making sure it's what it was intended as, and then as you're making the important changes and making life easier, then you're making sure that you're reiterating and reminding people that you've made those positive changes.
Very good. So it's almost like listening and delivering what you listen to.
Exactly.
Panchalee, and you, as I mentioned before, you realized that to make people happy, you had to make your own team happy. What was this journey for you?
Yeah, well, in Central Retail, as I said, in Thailand, 60,000 employees that I have to sort of oversee. I have over 400 HR team members that I have to also oversee. So therefore, to me, it's really important. I have to start with my team first, because if I make these 400 people happy, then they can also look after the rest of the employees in the organization. And again, it started off by I have been with the company for about over 3.5 years now. And when I first joined, I think HR Central Retail has seen to be a very, very back office, a supporting function, and things like that. And primarily, they were told what to do. They're not part of the business decision-making process, and they don't have a sense of purpose. So what I did was I have to transform HR first. I told them that, from now on, we are not just supporting business. We have to be with the business. We have to make ourselves, accepted as the strategic business partner. And, we have to understand where we are going and why we are doing all of this. My vision that I shared with them is, as a CPO, I want to build a winning team for Central Retail, and I want to make Central Retail a great place to work for our employees. So with that, I think, you can't do that without transforming yourselves first. So therefore, we did a lot of activities to transform HR. And now, maybe about 12 or 18 months after, then we are part of the business. We are my BU HR heads are sitting in all of the business meetings. We are becoming a strategic business partner, and therefore they started to have a sense of purpose. They feel respected, they feel valued, they feel appreciated. So, with that, they, of course, in turn, they would look after the people. They would make sure that people feel respected, people feel empowered, people feel valued, and they can do a lot more to the customers. And I think this is sort of, the strategy and the ecosystem that I have to really bring to life, because otherwise it wouldn't work. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you started with your HR team and escalated into the customer experience. Do you have the outcomes in the customer experience? What have you experienced?
Well, yeah, obviously, I think we have done a number of things, to support our employees, to make sure that they are happy in the workplace, so that they can really look after our customers. I think, obviously we do have customer surveys. We looked at NPS score regularly, and things like that. We do have receive feedback from customers, through different social medias. We monitor that regularly, and we have been receiving positive feedback. In terms of, but before we get into sort of getting, positive customer experience or making our customers happy, we have done a number of things to support our employees. In Central Retail, we have what we call a growth model. This is the model where we're trying to give something back to the employees. We want to create the right environment. We want to ensure that they are, looked after in terms of overall well-being. But it's just, how do we make it, tangible for the employees? We looked at whether employees should feel that they are supported by their line managers. They have the right leadership team to support them. Their career paths are looked after. We implemented a number of HR processes and systems to help them realize that we are not just talking, we make it live, we make it real for them. We have come up with a number of things, internal career growth, career discussion opportunities, career development plans, so on and so forth, to, make our people feel that this is a great place to work for us. So therefore, I am now very, very motivated to do the right thing for the customers. I give it all my best, and I keep pushing the boundaries to make the customers happy.
Very good. And Mia, how was the outcome for you? How did that impact the customer experience from all the listening that you had with your employees?
Yes. So obviously, as we saw the ENPS scores get better and improve all the time, we also have customer NPS as well. So we're looking at the sales NPS in store. And obviously that was started to improve as well. And not only that, we have a question in the survey asking what made you come into store today? And what we found was that our referral rate from customers having the conversations about the positive experience that they had in store. So the reason I went in due to referral also increased. Look, and the other positives that we see is, year on year in a very tough economic climate in New Zealand, we are growing across all of our categories from revenue to product sales. And it's just low churn, and it's just all round just been a really positive experience.
But with every change, there's always some resistance, right? Like you have to convince a few people to invest. So there's the funding part, there's the believing part. How was for you, Mia, to give this first step from when you listen and you identify the problem? How was that process?
We had brought in a risk consultant in to have a look at the stores from a health and safety perspective coming out of COVID and to make some recommendations. So I think that was probably the easier sell, was to go and say, look, this is what we do to make the employees feel safer at work. But then there was other things like just along the journey, the retail transformation, our POS system was old, and you really had to get the buy-in for that. So what we had to do was show the incremental small changes, the positive changes in ENPS and our customer NPS as well. And it was constantly communicating, this is what we've done, and this is the result of what we've done. So it was, once you showed some of the positive results, it became easier.
Yeah, and Panchalee, I remember you shared with me that you had a few CEOs in the group, right? So you have
12 actually.
12 CEOs. How was that for you to convince leadership of the change?
Well, yeah, I think the challenge for me really is about the complexity of our business. We at Central Retail, we have different business units. 12. I have 12 BU CEOs that I have to deal with. And on top of that, I still have a number of board members to come into play now. And on top of this, then you can probably imagine, all this multi-generational workforce, and things like that. These are primarily, all the challenges that I have to face. And typically, I think in retail, we work in the margin. So therefore, all these business leaders, they tend to focus on finance, rather than on people, right? So it's really, a challenge for me to really trying to transform their mindset to become more of people-centric. I remember, anything that we are trying to do, either in the beginning, either they didn't care much, meaning they say, oh, you can do it, whatever you want to do, these are soft stuff. I say, well, these are not soft stuff, these are strategic stuff, that you have to understand that it would help you improve your productivity in the longer term, and it would help you sustain your productivity in the longer term. You have to be able to gain hearts and minds of people so that they can give it all in, because otherwise, you will get just what you pay for. So I have to keep, sort of changing the mindset and building alliances, making sure that they understand the vision of how we should manage our people and how we should lead properly, and how we should change our strategy to become more of people-centric rather than financial-centric. So it's quite a challenge, but it's really, it's the major part of my job, and I have to really keep on sort of pushing for that.
Yeah, but you got an award, right?
Yeah, actually, last Friday I've got 21 awards from employee experience, and I sort of not me. Sorry, we at Central Retail, we were awarded 21 awards from employee experience event, and we were titled as the employee experience champion of the year from Human Resource Online, which is one of the best organizers of human resource in the human resource industry. Yeah, so it's a lot of, through a lot of sweat and tears, and it's not from me alone, it's from the team, from the support, from the business leaders as well, because if without them, without that trust, without that partnership, I don't think that we can be there. But the credit goes to my team primarily. I just help them, guide them, direct them to the right path.
Mia, you got an award as well, right? Like, how was that for the team?
Yeah, we just won Retail Employer of the Year, and it's been something we've been trying to achieve for a few years now. So it was just recently in the last couple of months that we won the award. We had 2 of the store managers join us at the awards event, and they were super excited. They were like, for them, it's recognition of the feedback that they give on a monthly basis that enables the change. It also is the experience that they provide for the customers every day. They are the face of 2 Degrees. They are the people that make the experience what it is today, not just from a sales perspective, but also from a service perspective. And service can be hard. So to have that acknowledgement for the team and to get Employer of the Year, it was obviously, it was something that all of us across the organization were super proud of.
I'm very proud of you too. So you're award-winning people of people. Yeah. I'm going to open for a Q&A. So if you have any questions for them, just put your hands up. Somebody's going to deliver you a microphone.
Hi, and thank you so much for this inspirational conversation, and really lots of things to revise about employees, and for this opportunity for question. So how's motivation system basically works at your organizations, like from top down to store managers, to ensure that everyone actually follows the same idea, the same requirements for service level and customer happiness?
Yeah, and I can start with that. So we basically have high compliance requirements. So it is pretty regimented on how you follow processes and how you keep data safe. And look, I think it's communication, really good knowledge base so that they understand what they need to do. And what we do is when we see incidents or customer dissatisfaction, it's about taking the insights on what's driving, that dissatisfaction. And then it's working with the team and the head office team who have to make the changes. But it's making sure that you're including the customer feedback and the employees, most importantly, who are dealing with the customer day to day. So it's taking all of that feedback and making sure that you're making some positive changes. And I think the important thing is that you're continuously changing and that you're constantly looking at what needs to be changed, and you're looking at the data all the time. It's never stationary. It's never going to be complete. You're never going to have it all done. So it's about making sure that constant communication, both receiving the communication and feeding back on it, and making the change is the most important thing. You'll get the trust of your employees when you do what you say you're going to do based on their requests.
Right. And I can add to that as well, because actually communication is really key in my organization. Is one of the challenges, so because of scale that I mentioned. I think whatever that we do normally, in my case, I will make sure that my team understands, and then I will make sure that the CEO understands. And then after that, I keep on monitoring the feedback. I never plan anything to ensure that everything goes well 100%. It's never possible. So therefore, I leave some rooms, for us to keep on sort of adjusting our plans along the way, because feedback is really important, like Mia said. I think we have to keep listening to our employees and see, what are the pain points, what works, what didn't. And then we will try to keep on adjusting our plan to meet the needs, and so that the changes we are making, become a bit more sustainable and a bit more consistent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have 2 different businesses here in scale and in markets, but there's like a recipe. Like it's really like listening to employees and showing that they can trust you, right? Like it's sometimes we see the headquarters giving instructions, but not understanding that they have to serve the people that are dealing with the people. So I think this is the takeaway. Thank you so much for sharing everything. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope this episode gave you a real insight into how employee experience directly impacts customer experience and business growth. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to OFFBounds. We drop new conversations with top retail leaders every Tuesday. And if you were inspired by what Panchalee and Mia shared today, feel free to share this episode with a colleague or tag us on LinkedIn. We love hearing how these stories resonate with you. Next week, we will have our last episode recorded in Singapore with Josh Friedman, Ulta Beauty's SVP of Digital and E-commerce. See you next Tuesday.